Hello, my fellow ninjas. I'm Jonathan Crow, Director of Community here at NinjaOne, and welcome back to another NinjaOne live stream. As I said, this one's a special one because look who I got here. I got the big boss ninja himself. This is Sal Sferlazza, our CEO and co-founder. Sal, I've been trying to get you to do one of these for how long now?
About 6 years. That's about it.
Something give or take, yeah. But here you are. We have you. You're cornered.
Yeah, I can't escape. Yeah.
No, I'm super excited to have you here. We've been getting people psyched in our Discord. For those of you tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all the places. If you're not a member of the Discord, here's my obligatory promo for you. Please join our Discord. I'll throw up a QR code that you can use to do that in the chat. There's about 6,500 of you all now hanging out there. There it is. Look at that. That's magic. And having lots of discussions about Ninja, how you're using it, come with solutions, sharing lots with each other. And it's a super amazing community. Thank you all for being part of it. And thank you all for being here. So we have Sal captured for an hour, 58 minutes now. And so we want to make sure we get through a ton. I've got questions for you, Sal. The audience, our Discord community has had some questions that were really good ones that they've been posting to us. And as you can see, they're already active in the chat. Good to see the familiar names already. Hey, Matt, Carson. Carson's always joining from Germany, no matter what time it is. Carson, good to see you. So before we get into lots of meaty stuff, you know, where Ninja's going, how you prioritize things, who your favorite employee is, all those important questions.
Who's your favorite employee? Is that what you said?
That's what I said. Yeah. Lightning round. We want to kick things off. These are prompted by the folks in our Discord who I asked them, you know, what are your burning questions? And this tells you how seriously they take things. They hit me up. This is the first one we got.
All right.
So this is going to be a lightning round, about 6 questions or so. We're just going to hit them all. Oh, hey, Ray, too, by the way. Ray had good questions, but we're not going to get those yet. Lightning round questions. Sal. First one, peanut butter. Creamy or crunchy?
Crunchy.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
That's a long answer, but it's Star Trek.
Lightning round.
Yeah, sorry. You got an hour? I can tell you why it's Star Trek, but yeah.
So Star Trek, I mean, I knew the answer to this one. I cheated on this one. Here's the one I really know the answer to. Kirk or Picard?
Ouch. I have to go Picard.
Wow.
It's tough.
Okay.
I
know you want to elaborate so much.
At some point. Yeah, here.
You want to justify these choices that are alienating like half of our audience right now.
I know. Great way to segment our customers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, which PM would you least want to play against in a board game?
Wow. It's a toss-up between Rahul and Scott because they're both like hardcore board games. I'm not really scared of Michael, so I would I don't know. I think I would say Rahul.
Oh, so Rahul is Rahul's our VP of product. So he is in charge of all in charge of all the PMs for our audience here. Okay, and then how do you pronounce? It's not a static image; it's an image that's animated.
How do you pronounce an image that's animated?
Yes, GIF.
Oh, gotcha.
How do you pronounce it?
GIF.
I'm with you, for the record.
Yeah. Is that still a thing? Is that still a thing?
Yeah. All right. That's the lightning round. That is the lightning round. So that's just to loosen you up a little bit. I think we can move on. You gotten some approvals in the chat here with Ray saying Star Trek, he's out, but Carson's giving you the thumbs up. So yep, we've successfully gotten rid of like half the people already. Okay, let's move on to some other stuff. We had a really thoughtful question. Not that those weren't thoughtful, but this was came in this morning from Discord, and I thought it really kind of helped tee things up. So, you know, your journey with Ninja started back in, wow, I mean, it's been almost 10 years, right? And how does the question is, how did your vision for Ninja look back then? And now fast forward to today, how does that compare to what your vision is now?
I mean, when we started, our vision was simple. It was build a simple, easy to use platform, cloud first, um, zero training time, and that was the vision. And the vision for the company was, to add value to our MSP customers like we've done in past companies. But with past companies, I sold early, and those are always the ones that got away because my products didn't get the love and the care and the nurturing that I wanted them to do as they would have gotten if we had taken them bigger. So for Ninja, it's been really cool to watch this thing grow beyond any expectations I have. I think the vision now is pretty clear, and Jonathan, you know this well, is I think we actually have the opportunity humbly to be one of the largest IT software providers in the world. And that's weird for me to say. I think Sal from 5 years ago would say that guy's crazy. But I think if we just stay disciplined, build a great product, good things will happen. So
when you, I mean, let's look at the numbers a little bit here because, you mentioned that even 5 years ago, that would have seemed crazy, right? But look at some of these numbers, like really put that in perspective. So I know like you'd written down like, what is this true? Like so when I started, it was like maybe tail end of 2018 and there was like just around 100 or something like that.
So it goes like 80, 110, 160, 340, 680 from 340 to like 1,050, and I think we're almost 1,400 employees to date. So as a percentage, we're getting more efficient. It's not straight linear, but the growth has been extraordinary, right? Like if you think about to the group, like I do this thing called Meet the CEO, as Jonathan knows, and I literally meet with every employee globally that comes on Ninja, and I'll spend like 3 hours, which is funny. This lightning round is very analogous to what the conversation turns in. It's like, how can I advance my career? How can I, what is the future of Ninja like? Tell me about the Ninja culture. And then it usually turns into Star Trek or Star Wars or what's your favorite video game? What's your favorite book? But we set the tone, for the company. But I used to do those like in the past, and Allie runs HR. There'd be like 2 employees on a quarter. It's like, oh, we brought some employees on, Sal. You want to talk to them? And then I have one on Monday with like 50 people that are joining Ninja. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
Well, so this gets into some other questions about the culture and building the team and everything. Ray had some good ones that we're going to get to in just a second. Before we do, just going back to that kind of those numbers, right? And just giving people the perspective. I think like, there is that perspective now that Ninja's gotten bigger, right? It's growing, that we're kind of everywhere. Do you want to take a little bit of a chance to brag a little bit in terms of some of these numbers with customers and endpoints and everything?
Sure, not too much. That's not my nature.
I know.
This is why you can't get me on Discord.
Perspective,
Yeah, I mean, I think we're almost about 19,000 customers. We're growing about 700-800 customers a month. We have customers that buy 50 endpoints for Ninja. We have customers that almost on a monthly buy 20 or 30,000 endpoints with Ninja. We have some customers that as large as 110,000 endpoints. And it's been fun, I think, Jonathan, for me and you, is that when we were really small in 16, 17, we would close 1,000 endpoint deal. And that would be like the largest customer we ever had. And I think just staying product focused, listen to what the customers say, building those features. And everyone that looked at it always enjoyed the product, but they said, you guys are not ready for us. Call us in a year or two. And we just kept following that recipe year after year.
Yeah, well, this kind of gets into the, that's from the product side, but from going back to the culture and like having those calls where you're introducing 2 new employees to Ninja, right? And now it's like 50 a week or something like that. I mean, just completely
50 a month, but yeah, it's still a lot.
Yeah. How, like, going back to the vision, I guess, it's completely changed in terms of what this company could be and the trajectory for it. But I know from talking with you, like there's the cultural cornerstones that you feel like they helped you, grow things from the early days. And there is like staying true to those is what is going to help us get to the next level too. So wondering if we can get to some of those like cultural cornerstones. If you had to name those, like what would some of those be?
I mean, we could pretend we're on the Meet the CEO and you guys are all new hires, right? So if we were doing that right now, the first thing I say is, if you're always the smartest person in the room and you're always right, you probably shouldn't work here. It's not about egos. It's about getting to the right answer. everyone in the company is a product manager. If you have a problem with the product, you should escalate any problem for any reason all the way up the chain, even to me, without hesitation and without fear or repercussion for managers. That's part of the management training program. John, like I popped in there on culture, and it's about servant style leadership. You report to the people that report to you, and demand exceptional communication between departments. And I think that's usually the spiel that I give, and I mean it. And then usually the question I get after that was, well, that was great, Sal, when you were 200 employees. How do you do it at 13 or 1400 employees, and how are you going to do it when you're 3,000 employees? And I think the answer is I have to hire people that think like me, and then they have to hire people that have the same, that really believe in that philosophy. And we've exited people in the past that it's like, I come down for the mountain, it's my way or the highway. And very quickly people realize like that's not how it goes here. That's not the culture or the tone of the company. And I always make the joke that my employees would yell at me more than I would ever yell at an employee, which is they operate without fear, which means the product gets better faster, customers get service. And I think, for this audience, one of the things is we don't throw mud at competitors. Great products win, the money will follow is something I always say. And we build trusted relationships with customers. Like I'll chew my own arm off before we might have to break a word, but I'll chew my own, arm off before I need to. And I think, Jonathan, in the early days when we would monitor the Reddit channels, we would freak out if anyone said anything bad. And just to give an example, our Reddit sentiment is quite good, but some of those Reddit posts, investigations led to a Ninja employee exiting. Some of them, the customer made it up. Some of them, we made a mistake and we apologized and we took care of the customer. Some of them generated roadmap items. So I think always operating with a sense of urgency. And frankly, as we get bigger, I try to stay more humble, right? Because there's always something to learn. And that's how great companies go to die, is when you take the foot off the gas and then you feel a sense of urgency to reinvent yourself, make the product look like something different, and start over. So I think that's a little bit of the philosophy, and I think you know well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, going to that point, I think a lot of people were, we have the not selling and everything. But I think it goes beyond just like an actual sale, right? It's like, I think there's a lot of concerns that come from a right place, a legitimate place in terms of becoming a big company and what that means and losing touch and everything. What are some of the things that, we want to stay true to the roots and everything, but what are some of the things that you kind of are doing to make sure that we do stick to that, aside from just hiring good people who are kind of community minded and everything?
Yeah. There's the culture, there's the hiring the right minded leaders. Every time, one of the fun things I do is every time we start a new product, so to the group, I see the word sell. We're not selling. We have a tremendous journey in front of us. Your guys' support. I was just telling Jonathan, means the world to us. And I think customer relationships, as you could see in past lives, the trust is built over years and lost on a day. So we have to be, diligent not to deviate from that. And I think priority one is talk to customers. So like we were just talking about the MSP cab, Jonathan. I spent 3 days with MSPs. I talk to customers every week. So I think the number one way we could fail is stop talking to customers. So let's not do that. I think one of the fun things I do is whenever we build a new group at Ninja, whether it's a product or a department that didn't exist, I actually will parachute in and I don't know if even the teams even realize this. I joined myself as an informal member of that team for about 2 months. So I'll be incredibly involved in the comms and the structure. And I'll even say to the team, we're doing this startup called insert product name or insert team that never existed. Let's just call it, let's call it whatever, team MDM. You are unencumbered by the slowness that is Ninja. You're in the startup called MDM and ask for forgiveness, not for permission. So you can operate at a velocity that the Ninja company cannot move at. So I think by creating these flywheels where people could be a startup within a startup keeps that high velocity flywheel. And often, I have to shake people because they're like, well, it's a big company. It's like, no, it's actually not a big company. If it's a big company, we're going to go too slow. So those are some of the hacks that I use to make sure that we don't get too slow.
You have, that's awesome. And you have, a saying that like one of our secret powers has been we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like we're
I mean, I'm
unencumbered
from New
by
York,
that.
I
Right?
say it less pleasantly, which I won't say now, but yeah, I say our greatest power is we don't know what we're doing. Is that, we're smart enough to leverage the experience of employees and past experiences and know what the conventional wisdom is, but we're not married to it. And I talk to entrepreneur time and time again through our investors, where they basically completely broke the conventional wisdom and hit it from the side, where some companies, they wouldn't be able to do that just because that's just not the culture. So, we have it's interesting now because we've been going a bunch of years. We have a bunch of ninjas like yourself that have been here a long time. We have a bunch of new ninjas, and as we get bigger, we hire people that have tremendous experience of very successful large companies that were on hypergrowth journeys like Ninja. So to the old ninjas, they say, well, Ninja never did it that way. I'm like, well, that ninja's, other than the culture, that ninja's gone. It's a completely different Ninja was 100 people when we made this policy. It doesn't scale. At the same time, we have folks that have tremendous experience, which we often leverage, but it's like, this is how big companies do it. And so I feel like I'm always fighting two tracks with the old ninjas and the new hires around. And I think the answer is what's purpose built that's going to make Ninja successful. And let's just do what makes sense, right? It sounds so simple, right? Let's just do what makes sense. But I think, not being married to conventional wisdom allows us to think outside the box and move better, faster, stronger.
So this goes into going back to the product, and just a good question for how you identify and how you've cultivated the team. You mentioned everyone being a PM, right?
Yep.
How you've cultivated this mindset of consistent iteration, innovation. How do you identify improvements? This is a question. We have a lot of our folks here who are super active in the Discord.
Sure.
They're talking to PMs. There's so many things to product board, and this is a question that makes sense, right? Like we have all this input coming in. How do we prioritize some improvements?
I think it's a combination of a bunch of different things. Certainly, we have our public roadmap that carries significant weight, so we look for signal. If you look at the product managers on our team, we have two categories of product managers, right? We have product managers that have built products for enterprise and mid-market companies. And then what I have fondly and affectionately, I call it the top MSP 1%ers. A lot of you guys might know those folks that are heavily involved in the MSP communities. They've held like CTO roles at large MSPs. And I think they have both of those cohorts have great comms into the community. They talk to people all the time. We do tons of customer interviews. We look really closely at sales data. Why did the customer not buy? Well, they didn't buy for these three reasons. And we review them. We have some, Jonathan, you know this, we have the war room, which now it's every other month. It used to be every month, where we meticulously go through every single deal that Ninja couldn't close and why they didn't buy. And then at the same time, we do an account management or customer success look back and say, why did that customer leave us? That's terrible. Why did that happen? And we look for signal there. So I think it's a combination of that. It's a combination of the product managers. It's a combination of the public roadmap. And then it's not easy, right? And then you take all that and put it together. And on top of that, what products should Ninja build? Like, should we build like an endpoint security product? Our position is absolutely not. We should partner with world-class vendors like CrowdStrike and SentinelOne and other premium vendors, because we can't be an expert at everything, and we don't want to be an inch deep and a mile wide. We want to be really good at the things that we do. Should we go buy 5 companies? Well, as you know, my philosophy in this, like, if I could find an incredible engineering team with a poor marketing department, that would be interesting to look at, but they'd have to be culture aligned incredibly by engineers. And to date, Ninja's been looking for years, even though, because we've always been much bigger than I think people assumed, but I'd rather just build the products unless we find something exceptional. So that's a little bit into the secret sauce of what we do, but yeah, that's how we think about it.
Yeah, I mean, the build versus the build instead of buy. I mean, I think that's something that's people have recognized that's different than in our space. And it's funny. I mean, I know that there's been conversations and considerations, and you've always kind of put it out there of like, even when you buy something, integrating it and putting all the work that way. I mean, it's not like a quick automatic plug and play type of thing. Like there's investment either way, where you're going to end up building either way into it. And I know you have thoughts about like, because we've built things on our own stack, and then the integration between those things, you can end up getting a little bit more 1 + 1 = 3 type of deal.
Yeah, no, I think being on a single stack, having everything in the same language and having the best and brightest minds at Ninja working on that problem, you get a lot of flexibility because you can move engineers from one team to another without pause. If you buy 3 companies and one's built in Visual Basic, one C#, one C++, and one's, I'll use assembly, I don't know why, but those skills may not be transferable. So you can only scale those products within, and then you have to stitch them together with a bunch of SSO glue and a React lipstick and stitch together as a platform. And I think the superpower for us is on the long is as we mindfully and thoughtfully build more products, keeping that single stack philosophy, I think will be a superpower. I think, we have a spectacular, like, I think one of the best in the industry support departments. And part of that is because of Michael Sheldon and Nathan's leadership and our discipline around building transformational experiences as opposed to transactional, and being meticulous about that, which is why we enjoy CSAT scores so high. And we actually pick the phone up if you call us, which is helpful. But also the product gets some credit too, because imagine supporting something with products built at different points of time in the last 20 years. It's a lot harder. So I think that's part of the superpower too that we have.
You mentioned like for the building track, then having to have discipline. You mentioned thoughtfully and mindfully building which products, and you used building an EDR as an example. We actually had a question that came in that was specifically asking about that. Is Ninja going to evolve into a security company? And then we had other questions that were broader, and we're just asking, what are the areas that we're looking to move into? What makes sense? What do you see as missing from the portfolio that we're working on? I don't know if we want to skip ahead to some of the things that are definitely coming, but I know just the way you think about things, there's basically, the types of products like RMM and like patching, where, in your words, the ground's constantly moving, versus some other products that are really more like features or maybe have a little bit less complexity.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of roadmap, I mean, if you look at sort of internal IT departments, right, you have SecOps, DevOps, and IT help desk and that sort of thing. And then obviously one of our main buyer personas is also MSP businesses, right? So we want to build features around the personas that we sell to, which is pretty much is internal IT departments and MSP business owners. So that will inform some of the ways that we build things and what we want to build in the order. And we'll do an assessment of what's the difficulty of the build and that sort of thing. So let's take security. Like, what's the investment of like a CrowdStrike or a SentinelOne in security versus Ninja's R&D spend? So I think, and we spend a lot of time, like RMMs are not free products. Like, it's not a product that you could build and then just put in sustain mode. The ground is always moving. Like, operating systems are changing, patch compliance, like how patches are packaged. It's like a never ending whack-a-mole. So we spend significant resources to make sure we could say best in class there. So I think we're generally looking for products around those personas that we sell to. We don't want to sell to every IT persona from a day one. Although, to answer the security question, we obviously have patch compliance. We're looking, like about how we could take those patch compliance data to do different views in terms of vulnerability. And I think there's some areas in security where we could be helpful. But on the core EDR, MDR is like partner with world-class vendors and let's focus at building amazing products of what we do.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, RMM takes continued dedication and attention. I mean, this is the other thing that we get going back to the CAB meetings and from time to time in the community and everything too, is people pointing out just that of like, it's great that you're creating these other things. We want you to like address some of the stuff we've been asking for a while.
Sure.
Or, that things have changed and it needs to be better. But it gets into this other question that we got, which is from Michael, who I saw in the chat. Thanks for adding this, Michael, and thanks for showing up. He said, NinjaOne's been developing at a breakneck pace and has a track record of really listening and interacting with its customers and partners. Thanks for that. And do you see that changing in the future? What he means is there a point where you feel the NinjaOne product is finished for development and development ceases. And then he says also, like, for example, when the latest funding round is depleted, or are you going to perpetually be developing? I mean, I think we know the answer, right?
The answer is the machine never stops. If we want to be the largest IT software provider in the world, that we need to continue to overinvest in R&D. And I think for us, you know, if you look at our peers, like what we spend in support, we overpay in support because we think it's worth it. I'll go old school geeky, like Rackspace fanatical support. I was a customer, right? Like that kind of, like that good feeling. I don't want to lose that. But on the product, you know, you might have heard, you know, the way we build products is 3 heartbeats short of a heart attack, not for real. And I say, I talk to other like leaders that, you know, we're top go-to-market leaders at like $100 billion companies. And like, if you want to continue to build this out and you're having fun, you want to build this to tremendous scale, there's peacetime and wartime, and you're always at war. Like there's no rest, right? So I think, you know, for me, it's fun to see as we build these new initiatives and new products, and we're going so long, we see people grow up in Ninja. They start as individual contributors, they become managers. They all often go on to build products. You know, we were small. It's funny because those of you who don't know me, like, I mean, I still run product with Rahul. He's my partner. We have a great product management team. And the big secret is I'd rather be the head of product than the CEO, which is why it's hard for Jonathan to get me on these things. But I just enjoy it, you know, and on the entrepreneur journey, you know, every company's been exciting, but the thing that I think I enjoyed the most is building the products. So, you know, people say like, oh, you're going to sell Ninja. It's like, well, if I need to scratch that itch, I'll just build another product so that my customers need and continue to add value. So that's the way I kind of think about it.
So you're hitting on some things that I think a lot of people listening in here can relate to, my guess is. You know, a common thing that comes up a lot is, especially more on the MSP side, is that, you know, you got the edge. You know, you can do it well. You start your own company. You got the tech experience. You love getting down in the weeds with that stuff. And you have to evolve and start playing the game of management, right? And being the business leader. David in the chat just says, yep, from another CEO, he's feeling the same. What are some of the things that you've done to kind of level up your game there? And like, what are other resources? I mean, of course, you've got the investors, or I know you do a lot of networking, talking with other CEOs and everything, but what are some things that you've done to help with that stage of it? So, especially since it's not your natural thing that you want to really focus on the CEO aspect.
Yeah, no, I think, well, you know, Gerhard on our board, right, who's also the chairman of the board of CrowdStrike, has been a great resource. Our board and our investors have been amazing, and the ability of them to connect me with other leaders that have been on a high growth journey, I think, has been super helpful. And not just on the business side, even on the product side. So I think, and then I think there's a lot of self-analysis. Like, how do you go from, you know, if you look at like year one in Ninja, if there was an outage in Ninja, I was up at 4 a.m, like sitting with the developers, effectively managing the engineering team, waiting for the platform to come. But right, if we had like an outage when we were small, then we got a release manager, then that went away. So I think it's about the ability to change your resolution as you get bigger. And this is the part where I always cry because I want to do more products. Even if you go like since 2021, we only had like 2 or 3 product managers. Now we have like 13, and they're all amazing. And a lot of them are better than me in a lot of ways, which is good news for my stock, but it still makes me sad. But I still like to have good wrestling matches with them on how our POD should be presented or what a product design looks like. So, I mean, you know, John, that happens on a weekly. I'm still spending 25 hours a week on product. But I think, you know, I used to go to every single product manager weekly for every product and every dev stand-up every day. Well, step one is I lost all the dev stand-ups. Then I went to every other week for the product management stand-ups. Then once a month. Now I'm fortunate on audit and QBR and skip levels or skip level calls if I get in a fight with Rahul about something, so I could rally forces to my side. So yeah, that's, I think, a change of resolution and reaching out and just being humble and asking for help. There's people that have seen this journey before. It's a little bit different, but I think there's good nuggets there.
I mean, as a community guy, I definitely see the value in reaching out and talking to peers and folks who have been there, you know. But yeah, I mean, as Michael points out, even as solo IT, having that level where you've accomplished the things you can do those well, like you're hands on in that, and then you hire up, and your goal is to kind of constantly be like replacing yourself, right, with good
Yep.
people. But going back into like you've given some hints across the conversation about you're still knee deep in things when you need to be, and you're still we kind of call it the eye of Sauron, actually. You're kind of like, where's your focus area now? Is it marketing this week, or is it, where is it going? Why don't you talk a little bit about your like day to day, just an average like schedule for Sal?
Let's see. I mean, I would say I do meet the CEOs once a month. I have weekly strike team meetings with the sales and the marketing teams, right? Talking about, hey, how many trade shows do we have next year, right? That's a live topic, right? So should we have one? Should we have two? Probably within an hour of that, I did a product design review with the product design team on the new UI for upgrading our dashboards, and then ultimately backing into customizable dashboard, which we know is a pain point with our customers. So we're actually having those that are interested, we're having a dashboard offsite in Austin. So that's scheduled. I'm flying to Miami next week for the engineering leadership offsite to pretend I'm still a developer, even though I haven't coded in 10 years. And then I'm going to Atlanta for an MSP 501 conference the week after that. Talked to all our board members this week about a variety of topics. Gotten 3 arguments with my co-founder on budget to make sure we could have a wonderful president's club. But I think it's the things that I enjoy most is if I could beat the developers out of a design discussion 1 out of 10 times, I feel really good. So yeah, but that's to me, variety is the spice of life. I touch a lot of different stuff. It depends on the week. Yeah.
Nope. And there's more every day.
Yes.
Well,
That's the one gotcha, because as you get bigger, you think you got it all figured out. Like, I hired these people, they're better than me. I got everything figured out. My schedule is just perfectly under control. And then we get bigger, and then there's new complexity. Like, never have I ever opened an office in EMEA, or Australia or Canada. Like, those things continue to change, right? Dark mode is in progress with. I see the things over there. Dark mode's in progress with ADA compliance for the special needs folks. So it's in parallel. It's coming out awesome. The product team is working real hard on it. We're refactoring every widget in the whole app for consistency, our grids, and a lot of the other things that need to go away. So thanks, Michael.
Good for you, Michael. Stepping up, asking the CEO about dark mode. I mean, we're all thinking it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have 2 more kind of like broader areas, and then I also just want to invite folks in who are watching in the chat.
Sure.
Let's let it rip. What questions do you have? And if you provided some in our Discord and I haven't got to them, please remind me. I know Ray, you had a couple. So the first one to get to is, we don't throw mud. We are in a competitive space. And RMM in particular, as with a lot of things in IT, right? There's commoditization, there's a lot of like, how do we set ourselves apart? And there are some lines that have been thrown out about Ninja for years now. And I just want to give you a chance to maybe respond to a couple of them, or maybe give your favorites. I'll start us off anyway. Okay. So the first one is really around, I think it's the one we probably hear the most often, which is that Ninja, the UI is great. It's easy to use. It's super. Ninja overall, though, is not powerful. It's super basic. It's for the small guys. Any response, sir?
For the cloud platform, and we've heard from customers coming from other competitors. I think we actually scale better than pretty much all the competitors, but I'm not going to say specifics or throw mud specifically. We're often closing 10, 20, 30,000 deals like every other month. And I don't think those people would buy if they have, pretty good sized MSP businesses, and they're not going to buy us if they don't think that we scale. one of my favorite ones, just to piggyback onto your question, Jonathan, or from the group,
Yeah.
is that oh, here we go, Ninja's gone institutional. They're going to sell the PE guys, and everything's going to crumble, and the world's going to crumble. So, I think that's a big misnomer. Like between private equity and growth equity, is that me and Chris still control the company. So every time we raise a round, we ask for more control as we continue to grow. So we're having fun. It would be my worst nightmare to sell this thing years down the line and have what we built, go sideways on us. So we have full control of the company. So that, I think that's an important thing that gets lost in translation. And we actually see competitors throwing mud at us that are actually PE owned, saying that we've lost control of the company and our ability to control our own destiny. And that's just not true. The investors that we've taken on have incredibly long horizon hold times. Like they're looking to hold their cash for 10 years through public markets. They're not looking for, for the short time horizon. So I think that's one. I think maybe these things are under my pillow and I just don't realize it because they bother me. But the other one is like our growth rate. We see like back channel, like our, prospects that come in with other dialogues for vendors like, oh, Ninja's we think they're growing about 15%. Well, actually last year we grew 75% and we're probably going to grow over 70% this year. So I think, I think those are just some examples, and Ninja doesn't scale and that sort of thing. But
so the not scaling part, we had another specific question actually addressing that, which was, what specific measures is NinjaOne taking to improve the scalability and the adaptability of solutions? I'm kind of curious about the adaptability part, what that means. And I think this is from Chrome Shavings. If you're here in the chat, let us know a little bit more detail there. But when it comes to scalability, I mean, improving it, there's always room for improvement, I suppose. But I guess like that's it kind of rings true to the fact that this is a perception, right? Because like scalability wise, a lot of things are there. I mean,
yeah, well, we're not stopping, right? Like, for example, there was a live discussion at our senior vice president meeting, is that we want to be able to scale to several 100,000 endpoints on one customer tenant. And even at the rate we scale more than our other cloud vendors by a good margin. But I think there's this, we have a dedicated architecture team on the engineering team. So good is never good enough. So I think one of the things we're doing, and again, being on a single stack, is certainly being hyperscalers helps, and you could scale horizontally, but I think rethinking things that scale to certain inflection points and refactoring as necessary so that the platform doesn't get old and stale and decay, which is another advantage because we can continue to heavily invest in R&D, both on new development and sustaining engineering.
All right, I'm going to ask one more question before we get into like the fun, what are you most excited about coming up phase? And then Dave, I'm not going to ignore your question here in the chat. We'll get to Sal with that if he may need a little bit of context, but this goes into the security side. And this is a question that Ray Orsini from OIT VoIP, who Ray's been awesome all along. When I first joined Ninja and was looking around in the space and looking to learn about it, Ray was always up for having conversations, and it really helped a lot. So thank you, Ray. Ray's asking, what are some of the things that have kept you up at night? And I know from asking you this question at multiple, get to know the CEO things, that one of them is security, that this is something you're constantly thinking about. So the specific question is, what steps is Ninja taking to not end up as another statistic when it comes to remote support, like the tenants being breached and everything? I mean, we see like remote access tools, RMMs being leveraged by threat actors like all the time. And so he's just interested in, what are steps that we're taking on the security angle to really make sure that we're keeping things as secure as possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's no guarantees in life, right? But all we could do is always operate with a sense of paranoia and overinvest. So our chief trust officer, Mike Aerosmith, was the head and built the security program for Splunk. He was also head of security for a publicly traded medical company as well. So, and worked for the federal government before that. So I think in terms of being SOC type 2 that's a checkbox. We're actually also in the middle of FedRAMP. So for those that are in internal IT or in MSP, I met with quite a bit of MSPs that are trying to sell to the federal government. So I think we'll be one of the first products, if not the, that's FedRAMP certified, which the operational rigor there is not, it's not an easy lift. There's a lot of stuff to do to pass that from security compliance standpoint. We continue to invest heavy in our dedicated security, team, and there's a healthy conflict between engineering and security to make sure we're always staying up on the latest and greatest. And I think a lot of our engineers, the top engineers in our company, have a lot of security software development experience, like have built security products in the past. And I think that's a huge help. And actually helps us. We're not just an IT automation platform. We have a good security DNA in the team to make sure that we're tightening the bolts. But that's the high level. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for that. And there's more things like getting in touch with your AMs, getting in touch with our security team. There's some documents if you need those things to show to leadership or anything. We have a lot of materials that we're more than happy to share that go over things in more detail.
I have to comment, Dan. I'm looking at some of the comments, and the script Git repository, we can take that one offline. But with the product managers, because the community script sharing stuff scares me a little bit, because you talked about security. One of the reasons, am I allowed to go this way, Jonathan? Or am I,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm laughing at Dan's comment to start, because I wasn't going to say this, but it's kind of comical at this point. But we had customers literally cancel us in 17 or 16 because we were the only RMM that forced our customers for 2FA. And some MSPs went crazy on us and are like, I can't believe you're slowing down my productivity and I have to M&A into the platform. And our engineers were the ones that yelled at me and said, you need to do MFA. Like, it's not an option. I said, well, we're going to lose some customers. And the answer from my engineers was like, you don't understand. Like, we need to, like, things are getting bad. So that's an early example, but it's somewhat comedic now, because who doesn't have, 2FA by default on the platform? We would love to disable SMS, to the other question, because it generates quite a bit of cost for us. So we would love to everyone to use I think that's something we're looking at closely. David, we could chat more offline. I could hook you up with Rahul. So
yeah, see, now you're opening the door to
I opened the door, yeah.
Yeah, to everyone's everyone's.
Then we need a 2.0. John, then we could just do a 2.0, like a product one would be fun.
Everyone can submit their specific request to Sal, and then when Sal gives the go ahead, then you can talk to the PMs about it.
Yeah.
Sal prioritized.
Backdoor.
Okay, well, let's get into keep them coming, guys. All right. Well, I mean, yeah, but now that we're talking about MFA, I mean, to the point, we're never done, right? There's always improvements up. So
there's an escalation track for people to get rid of the second MFA. I think you have to get like sign in blood that you take security seriously and Ninja's not responsible. I think there's a trail for that, by the way, for those that ask about double MFA. But
people are asking for your cell now. I mean, be careful, Michael. That goes both ways. He'll have yours then too. That's what you need to consider.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into what are some of the biggest areas of growth for 2025 and beyond. We talked a little bit about when you were talking about how we decide to build versus buy, the areas that we're looking at, but lots of stuff in the hopper. What do you feel comfortable sharing? Hopefully we've reviewed what the things that we're not supposed to be lifting the lid on in terms of press releases and stuff.
Sorry, my phone went off there. That was weird. Yeah, sure. So I think MDM, obviously, super excited about. We have, I think in 25, it's going to be pretty seismic for regardless if you're an internal IT or an MSP provider. So I think if you look at, alternative solutions where you have an RMM that's like a snowflake and you have an MDM solution that aren't talking to each other in single pane, one of the benefits of RMM is instant configuration, deployment, and that sort of thing. Above remediation, I think having that single pane would be really, really interesting. And I think, sorry, I keep looking at your chat thread.
Sorry, it's distracting. I'm. You can see that I'm laughing at something too. So your phone rang and Michael said it was him.
Yeah, exactly. He got my number. Yeah, I'm excited about documentation, warranty tracking, which we're putting in, and it's going to have no charge. patch caching, long-term data retention. We are going to do a pretty seismic upgrade on our policy configuration, how we do policy configurations. And I think one of Ninja's superpowers all these years is it's really easy to configure things in Ninja, but we need some of our upper mid-market customers and our larger MSPs need more advanced configuration, dynamic policy assignment and that sort of thing. So I got through black and blued after a discussion with the product managers on the go forward path, but I'm really excited where we're coming out, and we're going to start development on that. And I think that's just a few of the things. We're excited about the partnership with Halo. We like their culture and how they do things, and we think MSPs will really enjoy the partnership with the two of us working together. And I'm also excited about, as we're closing more and more larger MSPs and internal IT departments that need help beyond, advanced configuration and deployment or migration, we're going to be building out a professional services arm to help people. Mostly, I think our plan is to just do certifications and bring on like SIs, like system integrators and consultants in the MSP market and help enable them. But we're going to continue to scale internally, that only the people need to do that really need it can use it. And if they don't, then it's the same, easy to use onboarding that we've always had. And then I'm excited about having a trade show next year. We've never had a trade. We're the quietest high scale startup of all time, right? So we're a pretty good size now, and we didn't have a trade show. So I'm really excited about that.
Wow. I wasn't sure if we were going to be talking about that one. That's awesome. We are in active conversation.
We're going to have one or two. We just don't know yet. Yeah.
But yeah, join the Discord, everybody, because we want to get people's thoughts. What do you want to see there? What do we need to have there? What's non-negotiable? And whether that's dark mode or whatever. We definitely want to hear from you guys. I love Sal. I mean, you see in the chat, people are answering their own questions.
Yeah.
I just can't the biggest. I am so. This is going to sound cheesy and make you uncomfortable, but I'm so happy that I'm here at Ninja. I feel lucky about it every day, and it's because of the culture that you've built and the support that I have from you and others here at the company. The fact that everything is just like amazing spot at the right time. We're doing crazy well, and we're able to have a ton of fun and do things what we feel in ways that we can feel good about, that also align with this is great for the business too. And I say this a lot on the community calls and everything, but all that stuff comes back to the community that we built here too. This group is awesome. They scared me at first going onto Reddit back in the early days, right? But no, this community is amazing, and I'm just really happy to be here.
You're a rock star of the MSP market. Thanks for everything you do.
All right, so let's see here.
We opened up being bigger. My sad part is we don't get to work together as much. I mean, I would say when we were small, I probably almost talked to you like every other day. Now, sadly, I only get to talk to you like once a month. So,
whenever the Eye of Sauron comes around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no. Well, last call for questions, guys. Or just your pet request for Sal to get into product board or to bump it up. I guess one other thing that maybe we can leave on is unless, oh wait, I see another question came in. Oh man. This is one that we may have to feedback on. Marvin, I'm reading yours in Discord, and this goes into improved scalability and adaptability. I'm just going to read this one to you, Sal.
Sure.
So he's saying he'd love to see this question answered more in depth, and not a quick ask session. So maybe we do take it offline, but let's see what we can do here. So I feel like he says, I feel like Ninja is definitely on a great way and has some awesome basis for customization. But then on the other hand, there are some things really static and not for every case of our customers, or are in the basis not to be made customizable. For example, the drop-down custom field in the API needs to be translated, etc.
Yep.
We would like more adaptability for specific cases and would love to know how to address it when it comes to our mind when we see the room for improvement. Because none of my feature requests or feedbacks have made it to the roadmap, and I think that there is at least one great one there for a while now. Our company thrives towards huge growth as well. But for me, who is solely working on Ninja, I already see a pain point in the future years for us. And so a couple things there. I mean, I'll address the feedback one, Marvin. This kind of goes back to how we prioritize improvements and everything. The product managers do have a tough job in that they're seeing tons of requests. We want to make sure that we're assessing all of those and reading all those, because this is how we make Ninja better, is hearing from you. It's invaluable feedback.
Yep.
That said, they do have to make some calls in terms of like what can be, how much work it's going to take, how much investment, how much it's going to kind of raise the waters for everyone. I mean, all I can say really is I want to know which ones you're talking about, so you can shoot me that in Discord, and then let's have a conversation about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can give an answer because I think it's a really good question. There's a multi-part answer there. So starting from the top, like customization, Ninja, one is the lack of customizable. I think our roots around highly scalable, easy to use, and secure. Customization is probably on the weaker side for us, but we have like a bunch of calibrations in mid-flight that I think will make lives a lot better. One is the redoing of the policy configuration, so that if you want to opt into like advanced dynamic assignment of configuration, like if you want to break out patch from other parts of the configuration. Number two, there's a live dialogue around building an API team, a dedicated API team to blow out advanced capability there, and have every entity available to the API. So that's the second one. The third one is there is a secondary discussion around, do we want to build an app exchange where you could define meta files and say this app affects these fields in Ninja, in almost like an app packaging framework analogous to any other app exchange you've seen. So those are just a few of the things that we're looking at, in addition to the customization that we have, to try to make it more, I guess, in your words, like more adaptable. Hey, Gavin. Like, there's like a bunch of Ninja people in here now.
I know, they're just showing up late.
Yeah.
Suspiciously, like they have work to do or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, too bad. I think we got a few minutes left here. So final call for questions. And Sal, I do want to point out that you have opened the doors in more ways than one. Now that you've done this, if people find this interesting, they think it's helpful, I think it's fun, I think we got to have you back on to give updates.
I think I'm happy to do it. I think you got me, Jonathan. I think I'd be happy to do a product one and bring some of my compadres on the product team too, and kind of dig in more and do some of those. Maybe it would be fun, or an update it at a later date as well.
We can be completely transparent and have you and the PMs get in a lively argument.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah. Sometimes I have reinforcements, but sometimes it's me against the PMs. But it's yeah, that would be a fun one.
Well, thank you for taking time. We've got all these. I notice all the ninjas now are popping out. They hid in the background. They lurk, as Mark points out. They lurk for the right time. I mean, all these awesome people that we have on the team. All these awesome people we have collected here in the community. I think we have an amazing opportunity because of this collection of people that you have started, that we could do some really cool things. And it goes into the events, the trade show, of course, building good products, all that. But yeah, just wanted to thank everybody for coming together again. And Sal, we're definitely going to get you back in and ask you more of those hard-hitting questions, like the peanut butter ones and Star Trek and all that.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I enjoyed talking to everyone. Yeah, I mean, this is great.
Yeah, and we'll get you in Discord one of these days too.
All right, John. Talk to me. Set up. Maybe I'm coming
in. Thank you, everybody, for joining, taking time. Sal, thank you again.
Thanks,
and
Charlie.
We'll talk to everyone again soon. We have another live stream that's scheduled for 2 weeks from now. And I think it's going to be all around endpoint hardening. So we've got that. We're building out the schedule for the rest of the year. We've got IT Horror Fest coming up again. Lots of good stuff for you. So stay tuned. Thanks again for being who you are. and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, guys.